Canadian Pacific, known today as Canadian Pacific Kansas City after the merger, it by itself as Canadian Pacific in the 1900s owned its own shipping line, the Canadian Pacific Steamship Company. One of these ships that was operated by the Canadian Pacific Steamship Company was the Empress of Britain. It was the largest liner built for the company, the largest liner sunk in World War II, and the largest liner sunk by a U-boat. Empress of Britain's career was quite short. It passed a laid-up Olympic after colliding with the cargo ship. The Empress of Britain collided with the cargo ship. The Olympic was due to be scrapped, and it also carried King George VI and Queen Elizabeth on board at some point in its career, and it would make normal routes between Southampton and Quebec City, and it would also do world cruises. Now, one of the world cruise routes was between New York, Gibraltar, Algiers, Monaco, Athens, Jerusalem, Cairo, through the Suez Canal to Bombay, Bangkok, Singapore, Manila, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Yokohama, Honolulu, San Francisco, then through the Panama Canal to Havana, and then end at New York. Now for the stats of the Empress of Britain. The keel was laid on November 28, 1928. It was launched on June 11, 1930. The length was 760.5 feet, the width was 97.8 feet, and the gross registered tons were 42,348. That is the weight. It had 3 massive funnels, 4 propellers, and 2 different configurations, one for cruise and one for an ocean liner. The ocean liner had 465 first, 262nd, and 473rd, along with 740 crew, bringing the total to 1,935 people. In its cruise configuration, it would carry 700 people, 740 crew, bringing the total to 1,440 people. At 9:20 a.m., 70 miles northwest of Ireland, on the 26th of October, 1940, 2 bombs struck the Empress of Britain. They were dropped from an FW-C-200 Condor, a German bombing plane, which the bombs were 2 550-pound bombs. 3 strafed and 2 actually hit. The 2 that did hit the ship resulted in a massive fire in the midsection and the loss of the Empress of Britain's own power. At 9:50 a.m., the captain made the call to abandon the ship, which the people on board were 416 crew, 2 gunners, and 205 passengers. Soon after the Empress of Britain caught fire from the bombs, 4 ships came to its rescue: HMS Broke, HMS Marauder, HMS Thames, and HMS Sardonyx. The Broke and Sardonyx would convoy the Marauder and Thames, which would tow the Empress of Britain, which was now a burning hulk. This towing maneuver would be done at 4 knots in a zigzag formation, a common formation for warships. On the 28th of October, 2 days after the bombing of the Empress of Britain, U-32 caught up with the ship and fired 3 torpedoes. The first one misfired, but the second and third struck the ship, resulting in an explosion that convinced the crew of the warships that the fire had finally reached the fuel compartments, which it didn't. It was just these torpedoes. The results of the torpedoes were that the ship immediately started to capsize, and the Marauder and Thames were forced to release their tow ropes on the ship, leaving it the Empress of Britain to capsize and sink at 2:05 a.m. on October 28, 1940. Because of the warships, having known the exact location of the Empress of Britain, the wreck was easily found. It was found 500 feet below the surface of the water. The ship was completely upside down, as it had fully capsized, and the fire had destroyed and basically gutted the entire interior of the ship and the top decks, which made it in not a great condition. There were rumors of gold being carried on board the ship, and many people wanted to try and recover this gold. However, when the first successful dive went down into the bullion room, which carried the gold, there was no gold to be found. It was only a skeleton, which had probably been someone who tried to go look for this gold. The Empress of Britain was one of 58 ships lost by the Canadian Pacific Steamship Company during World War II. It was a tragic end to a beautiful ship that should have had a lengthy career. The Empress of Britain was massive, and it was the largest liner built by the Canadian Pacific Steamship Company, and it was the largest liner sunk by a U-boat or even the largest ship sunk in World War II in general, which just shows its massive size, which is probably one of the reasons why the Germans wanted to sink the ship, because it would be like a showing of their power that they could sink such a massive ocean liner slash cruise liner, because it did serve as a cruise liner between New York and, well, it went all the way back to New York, as it was known as a world cruise, which I think is a very interesting idea, but I don't think that it was very popular in the end. And then it was war, so they didn't have much time to change how they ran the ship. I want to thank you all for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. I want to give some credit to Big Old Boats and The Great Big Move for being an inspiration for this video and getting me interested in the Empress of Britain. It is, in fact, one of my favorite ships. Bye.